Hey everybody, it's Andy. Welcome back to my weekly show where I help you build a career you love. Today we're going to talk about the most vital areas you need to investigate before you take any new job. Specifically, these are 8 great questions that you need to ask yourself before you accept a new position. And I was inspired to give you this. I thought about this about a month ago. It was actually inspired by one of my one-on-one coaching clients, Frank. He's a senior vice president of sales. He was about to accept a new position. He called me up. He said, I'd like to have a coaching session because I want you to look at this. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Really just kind of surface the red flags. So I got to thinking as we went through his process, I thought, God, that'd be a great topic to share with my community. And then, I've got to share the story with you about Victor. Victor is one of my boot campers. I love this story. He was living in rural Pennsylvania. He had an operational position. He decided he wanted to quit in the fall. He ended up finishing it out through the end of the year. He goes on to join my job search boot camp in January, runs through the program, then decides maybe it's better that I move to a more populated city where there's more opportunities. So he grabs the networking templates that we give him as part of the boot camp. He moves to, parks his butt in Washington, D.C., starts circulating these networking templates, gets some interviews, and then has one for a chief financial officer position at a financial services company of all things. So he reaches into me and he says, hey, I've got an interview with the CEO. I'd love for you to prep me because this is really important. So we have a session. He goes into the interview. He crushes it, gets a job offer, gets a 25% pay increase. And then, a few days ago, he emails me and he says, can we have another session so that you can help me make sure that I'm thinking through this properly and I'm not missing anything. So 18 hours ago, yesterday, last night, this is the exact agenda that he and I went through, that we talked through to make sure that he was making a good decision. Now, I want to be really clear about what we're talking about today and the value of it. A couple of months ago, about 8 weeks, I did a session on how to choose the right job. Now, that session was built based on your own self-reflection, becoming self-aware, identifying your criteria and what makes you happy, and then identifying questions that you would ask an employer to determine if the employer could actually satisfy what you need. That's very, very specific to you as the individual. Today, it's going to be a blueprint that all of you should use to make sure that you are stepping back at the end. Here's what's happening. You've been through the interview process, right? It's kind of like a war. You get to the end, you know you're going to get the offer. Now think about how distracted you've become. They rearrange your thinking. There's a lot of things going on. This is very emotional. Everybody is wearing these smiles on their faces. They can't wait to hire you. This is about you stepping back and becoming sane for a minute, having some clarity and objectivity, and stepping back and saying, now I need to think this through to know exactly how long the smiles on their faces are going to last. So that's what it's going to be about. So I'm going to take you through these 8 questions. Some of them are going to be easy. Some of them are going to be a little deeper, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And so let's get into this. Now, the first one, and by the way, let me preface this by saying, some of you throughout your interviewing process will ask questions related to these things that you should be asking yourself. But I want you to make sure that if you don't feel you have the information, you should make sure that you ask it before you accept the job. The first one is on the company itself. So let's start with the company, and really the company and the market. So first thing you want to make sure that you do is you take a step back and you look at the organization. Now, you probably have already done your research even before you went into the interviews, and you've gained more insight throughout the interviewing process. Is this company a leader in its space? That's great. Or if they are a leader, will they be able to stay a leader? What are their plans to do that? If they're not the leader, do they have plans to catch the leader? Is that reasonable? Now, these kind of things and along these lines, those are very important for you to ask, right? And you want to make sure that you are comfortable with where they sit. And that's kind of obvious, and if there's lots of competition in that space, you can kind of see where they sit, where they're going in the market. But what if it's a new market? What if it's a startup organization or a small organization, or there's not really a lot of competition in the local area? There could be many other factors, right? Not everybody joins large organizations. I'll give you a quick story about what I mean. About 10 years ago, so it was 2009, I was getting together for lunch with I would call him a dear friend. I would call him a business colleague. I would call him a mentor. He's mentored me. I've mentored him. But during this stage in his life, I was giving him some coaching about his career and potentially helping him with his jobs. He was working for a technology consulting company, and for a couple of years I had been talking with him about how I thought, and this is somebody I've known for a very, very long time, since I was in my early 20s. We had a great relationship, and I said, you need to take more chances in your life. You need to shake yourself up a little bit, go out and have some fun, for goodness sake. So we sit down for lunch. He says, I want to let you know, I know you've been pestering me for years. I decided I'm going to take a new job with a startup organization. I said, great, tell me about it. He said, well, there's somebody I used to work with at one of the consulting firms. He is starting to build this social media agency, kind of a consultancy around social media for businesses. And it's like 5 guys in a garage. So I'm gonna participate, and I'm gonna come in as the president, and so on. Now this is 5 guys in a garage, but it's 2009. Now, I joined Facebook, I don't know when you joined, I joined in like 2007. So the LinkedIn only came out in about 2004. So think about, as individuals, we were starting to get comfortable with social media, but businesses hadn't really gotten there yet. But one thing I did know in 2009 is that people buy what's in front of them online. And businesses had yet to tap social media and all the various platforms. This goes well beyond the Facebooks of the world, but they had yet to tap into that arm of marketing, and I knew that was going to be the wave of the future. I could process that in 10 seconds, and those 5 little words came out of my mouth as I looked at him and said, do you need any money? Because I knew that that was something that the market needed but didn't have yet. Now, there was only one other company at the time who was even thinking about doing this and doing this a little bit. So all I needed to know was, is the CEO that's going to be running this company, is he a thoroughbred? Do we have the horses to do this? What's the strategy, and so on? And he said, yes, we'll use some money. I said, I'll take it all. And we'll go call my sister, my brother-in-law, and a friend or two, and we raised some capital, and off this went, hugely thriving. So it doesn't just have to be a leader in its space, but there needs to be a number of things about the company and the market that you can assess. So it's not just as simple as, well, where do you sit? The other thing is there enough market demand? So it almost didn't even matter if there were 10 other companies doing this. The fact of the matter was, the entire planet was eventually going to need this. So if we have something, technology consulting companies, things like that, there will always be need for those types of organizations. But that's something that you got to assess initially, is where's the company sit and what does the market look like when you are joining it? All right, second thing, how about the product? How about the service? So let's think about this. Do you enjoy servicing that? Do you enjoy building that product? Is there a need in the market for that product? Is there a need? Is there demand? So much like the space that the company is in, the company might have several products, and this is where we have to kind of trickle down the little tree here. This particular product or service that you are being hired to support, doesn't matter if you're in the accounting department, you're accounting for that product. So it's still about the product itself. Is the organization building a product or offering a service that you can get behind? Are you the salesperson that's got to go pitch it? Can you get behind it with a big old smile on your face? Are you the technologist or the manufacturer or the product developer that wants to design it and put it together? Will you enjoy that? That's something you need to step back. Are they going in the right direction? Are they going to be building products that you will enjoy? So you need to make that assessment. And here I was saying about the technology consultancies that are services. There's lots of them in the world, and there will always need to be lots of them because companies will always need help with that. And then and also technology itself is a very dynamic solution, so it's constantly growing, getting better, getting cheaper, getting faster, and so on, and more creative. So do you want to be part of something that's evolving? It's another thing to think about. Then the unit that they are hiring you into, is that unit vital in the long-term success of the organization? Is it a strategic arm of the company, and will they continue to invest dollars in it? This is very, very important. Let's say you are a programmer and one of the large telecommunications companies wants to hire you, and you know COBOL programming, and they have some systems that are developed in COBOL. They're just legacy systems for them. They're not really going to build or invest those. They just need somebody to babysit them for a while. Now, your personal situation and needing a job aside, I'm just talking about the overall healthier decision here. Go in eyes wide open, knowing that that is not a unit that they are going to continue to invest in. It's very important. Or do you want to get into one of the signaling areas that is going to be the wave of the future and the next generations and all that other good stuff? So you just want to make sure, are they actually going to continue to put money into the area that you are diving into? It's incredibly important that you recognize where you're getting in the organization. Just because the company is great and just because there's a huge market for a lot of the products that they offer does not necessarily mean the unit that you are being hired into is going to be around for a long time, So that's something that you want to make sure that you are thinking about. The other thing, this one you probably asked, why is the position open? Now, this is something that you should have asked in the screen. So you want to make sure that you have an appreciation. Did somebody vacate the seat because they got promoted? Did somebody leave for a different job, a better job perhaps? Did somebody get canned? Did somebody quit because the boss is a psycho? Right? I mean, this is the stuff that you need to make sure that you know. That's a fairly straightforward one. Now, this next one, number 5, I absolutely love this one. And those of you that have followed me, you know how much I love this. Are the expectations clear? Are the success metrics clear? So, for those of you that go to the Andy LaCivita School of Interrogating Employers, when it's your turn to ask questions, you know one of my favorite questions for you to ask in a job interview, it probably is my damn favorite, is if you were to offer me this job and I was to accept it, or anybody was to accept it, whoever accepts this, in a year from now, what does success look like? Specifically, what will I have accomplished, or whoever have accomplished, that you would consider a raging success? That gives you the success metrics, and you know that there's clarity behind what you're signing up for, and you know what your goals are. Now, that's kind of where I left off. I shot a whole video on that one. You can go check that out on the channel. But there is a huge difference between having clarity on what your success metrics looks like and the sanity of that metrics. I mean, is that metric actually attainable? So I'll give you a great story. We're recruiting for a startup, and startup been in business for a few years, but roll with me on this one. And they would like their salesperson to sell $1 million in revenue in the first year, and that would take about 10 clients, 10 new clients. So I'm thinking, as could anybody who's coming into this position, has anybody ever in the history of the company ever generated $1 million in a year or gotten 10 new clients? Anybody ever in the history of the company, let alone somebody who was just starting and going from cold. So the $1 million is clear, the 10 new clients is clear, but is that actually reasonable? Where did you come up with the metric to determine that? You want that project implemented by such and such a date. What makes you think that we could get that in by such and such a date when I know it's going to take 12 months and you think it's going to take 9 months? Something like that. So you want to make sure that you have clarity, that the expectations are known and reasonable. Okay? All right. Next. How about this one? So I talked about, are they going to invest in the unit that you're going into? But what level of support in your particular little universe within the organization are they going to give you? How committed are they to your area? How committed are they to you? So let's get specific. Are you the chief marketing officer who's coming into the organization? They tell you, we want you to build out the marketing team. We need to get the engines going, and you got to build up the events and the content management and all this and that. Great. How much budget is there to hire the 7, ponies I need, the thoroughbreds to run the race with me? So is there a budget? How much time do I get to build that? Right? All of these things need to make sense. Are you the technologist that has to go in and implement a technology solution? Are they going to properly onboard you and familiarize you with their product? Are they going to pay the $12,000 for you to go take the SAN training and get certified? So, resources come in the form of people or dollars to support people, to support education, to support the tools. Are you the vice president of sales who's going to build out that sales unit and get it humming, but they're not going to give you the money to buy the Salesforce automation system that you need in order to run it effectively? So that's what I'm talking about. So how committed are they? And then here are some other things. Let's not split hairs here, but here's another thing. What is their timeline on that? So they could be committed to something. Is their timeline reasonable? So how long do I get to implement the solution? What happens if we don't make it on time? What happens if we don't make it on time? What challenges do we anticipate we are going to encounter? How are you going to react when we do encounter those? And if it does derail the timing of my ability to attain my quota, implement the solution, get the commercial real estate and mall up and filled and so on. So what happens if I encounter those? Then what? What happens if I encounter those challenges, which affects the timeline? How patient and committed are you going to be for continually paying for resources, for the effort, for the additional things that we need? There are a lot of people that say, hey, come in, we want to build this unit. And then you get in, but they're not really committed to building it. And then they're kind of just dipping their toe. And one way you can tell that is if they're not patient enough, and if they're not going to give you the time you need to actually build that, foster that, nurture it, and so on, and get it thriving. And then I want to round out with the risks. So all of you, I don't care what job you have, any major project that you work on, anything, makes no difference. Anything in the world that is project-oriented should have a risk profile and a risk plan. Now, you don't need to ask to see the whole thing, but what you need to do is make sure that they have one and you know what the top 3, 4 risks are. So here's what this looks like. Every project that you implement in anything that you do has risks associated with it. There's internal risks, but the risks I really care about are external risks, risks you cannot control, things you have absolutely no control over. So for example, you're hiring me as a technology project manager to implement the customer relationship management system that you want in by September 1st so that we can, sunset this system, cut over to that system, and start offering these new services and things for our customers. Great. There's a software company that provides that software that we're going to implement. They're in the process of building a module that we need before, July, so that we can actually implement it, test it, configure it, and so forth. What happens if they're not ready? Then what do we do? That's what I'm talking about. So you can not control what that software company gives you, but in addition to identifying the risk, you got to have a couple of things. You got to have a mitigating plan. Is there anything that is in our control that we can implement to mitigate that risk from coming to a reality? Could we offer the software vendor resources? Could we get in there and help them test? I don't care what it is. What is it that we are going to do to try to make sure that we do not encounter that risk? Then what else do you have to have? A contingency plan. Well, do we have a backup plan? So, Mr. Prospective Employer, if we don't hit that deadline, what will you do? That's your contingency plan. Do you know what you will do? And anybody who says we'll jump off that bridge when we get to it, that's not very well thought out. That's what I'm talking about. So everything that you get involved with, this is incredibly important for you senior folks out there. Because if you are not asking about the risk plans, profiles, what they're going to do when they encounter certain things, you're not going to know how they're going to react. You're not going to know how ready they are. And what do companies do when they start realizing risks and certain things are not occurring? Somebody eventually gets held accountable. It's usually the wrong person, but that happens. So now you can step back and you can look at all 8 of those areas, regardless of your own personal needs. You need to know about the company and its market. You need to know about the product. You need to know, what was my list? Is the area strategic? Why are they hiring me? Are the expectations clear? Are they going to be investing? What's the timeline? And do they have a risk plan or approach, or are they aware of what those are if they've taken the time to do that? If you step back and you look at all that, and you kind of go through that checklist at the end, you will know if this company is for you, and you will know about the viability of it. So I hope that helps you. So like I said, use that in tandem with the other video I gave you about how to choose the right job. You identify your happiness criteria, you go through the process, you kill it, you get the offer, and then you run through this exercise to make sure that you're making a good decision. All right, so I hope that suits you. A quick 20, I love it. Get in the chat. For those of you that are here with me live, we're going to the chat. For everybody else, I'll see you next week. And I hope you guys are enjoying this. I got one quick announcement before we get into the Q&A. I've got some great stuff coming over the next couple of weeks. And on Tuesday, for those of you that are in my, where'd it go? For those of you that are in my, on my Tips for Work and Life email list, I have got you got to sign up for this, a 9-day in a row Master Your Craft Challenge. This thing is super fun. Starting on Tuesday, everybody's going to get my normal Tuesday email at 6:30 Central Time. In it, I'm going to describe the little challenge, and basically, there's a little page. You can opt in because I'm going to send you 9 emails, or I guess 8 more, one a day for 8 days in a row. And it's going to have a little email lesson. It's going to have a little video that's like 1 to 7 minutes. And then that workbook is a phenomenal keepsake because that will actually help you go through the lessons. You actually go through the lessons, and it'll have links to the videos and all that good stuff. It'll have space in it for you to jot your thoughts. But it is about getting better at your craft. And it's the 9 principles and techniques that I think the best use to become that way and stay that way. But this effort is all about, and it's free, getting you to be the best you can be. So it's a lot of fun. And then the following week, we're coming back with a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday live office hours, a triple header right in a row, which leads into my monthly leadership program, which you can get into if you want. But it's going to be a ton of fun. So I love having everybody. Hope everybody is doing great. Let's see, you got 162 people. That's fantastic. Let's go say hi into chat. Kara is telling me everything looks good. I got although my coffee is now probably cold, I love to show you my Can I Help You mug. And Victor, if you're here, God love you, buddy. Maybe you should write a book on what you did. I'm sure it'd be a bestseller. All right. Connie Cotter, love to see it. Connie, you are an interviewing machine and quite picky, and I mean that as a total compliment because you should. I'm glad you are being thoughtful about your decisions, so lots of luck and love to you. Omolade, I think it is. How are you? First timer. Oh, can we give Omolade a great big first timer high five from the live office hours, folks? Hey, Mads, you're a boot camper. Shout it out for me. Kara is telling me to repeat how they will get their Master Your Craft info. I thought I said that already. People are wondering, how to opt in. Okay, this guy here. This is what we call in the biz as a heads up. On Tuesday, it depends when you're watching this, but on Tuesday, March 12th, I will be sending my email subscribers an email with a link to this in it. There is a beautiful page that I slaved over that basically has a little instruction, has a button, and you just opt in and you just put your name in because I don't want to send everybody on my hundreds of thousands of people an email every day for 9 days in a row. So I'll give my email subscribers an opportunity to opt in on that day, and then you can run it 9 days in a row. And I invite you to share your stuff with me, just like the last challenge we did at the end of last year. If you are not on my email subscription list and you want to join, just go to andrewlacivita.com or download any of our downloads. It'll indicate you are being subscribed, and you'll be on there, and you will get that, and we'll start it on Tuesday. If you are not on my email list, if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, on Tuesday, I'm going to release a video. That's the first little video in the series. Anybody can watch it. You don't need to opt into the challenge. But if you want the workbook, I mean, this workbook is killer. I mean, it's got the lesson, it's got the link to the video, it's got the space for you, it's got an encapsulation. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty geeked up about it. And by the way, that will live on and on and on and on and on, because that's just going to be a free giveaway that I want you guys to have, because I think it's an awesome giveaway. It's going to be free forever and ever, just like my ultimate professional resume template. But I wanted you to opt in, because I didn't want to just send the emails, because there's a lot of them. So I hope that helps. Kara, I think that got that. Mads, Andy had my interview today and landed me an offer. Mads is a boot camper from Europe, and we love her. And the issue is, I don't actually want the job. Need to know how to politely say thanks, but no thanks. I do want to keep in touch. Mads, you do that live. Do not email, do not text, do not tweet, do not fax, do not Facebook DM them, or any of that stuff. So just say to them, for any of you that need to reject an offer, it is important for you to do it verbally, do it politely, let them know why. You need to let them know why. I've evaluated the opportunity. I don't think that the role is exactly what I want. I have another opportunity. The compensation is not enough. Whatever it might be, it is important for you to be clear, okay? Because things may change. Or they might be able to alter some of the responsibilities, or there might be a number of things that they can do, that they can accommodate. But even if they don't, it's important for you to let them know why, because they might keep you in mind for other things, but you want to keep in touch. And you should follow up proactively, just like you got rejected. So, 3 months from now, if you're still investigating and looking at the market, then you want to make sure that you're reaching back to see if anything has changed. So you never know. Companies, this happens a lot. Let me run a scenario, and Mads, I don't know if this is exactly what you're going through. There are organizations that, they start out, they get, some candidates in their pipeline, they interview them, then they, want the budget to be this. And they get a couple of rejections because they're not paying enough. Then all of a sudden they realize, oh, we have to amp up the comp. And so then they raise it. Now you're gone. It would be better if, I'm just saying, if that was there's an example of something that's dynamic. Or, the role, they realize the role isn't set up properly, and that really it should be 2 roles. Or it should be a higher level person, and it should be 3 roles into 1 role, kind of thing. These things change over time. So you always want to make sure that you're going out with some class, and that you're checking back with them if you think they could have changed something that would have made you take the job. If you don't like the company, you don't like the people, you just didn't like the market or whatever, then that's different. Then you probably shouldn't have been in there as long as you were. But anyway, I hope those thoughts help. Carrie Freeman, how you doing? Got a question. Okay, Carrie's asking, she applied to a posted job on Indeed, sent an email and her resume to a contact, had a family member put in her name, and still never heard. Is it okay to follow up? Yes, 7 days. So whenever you submit something, if you dead silence, 7 days later, follow up always. Okay, Aaron, I see you have a ton of questions here that might be all one in a row, and let me see if I can paraphrase. All right, so sent a direct email to the recruiter regarding a job posting for coding supervisor on LinkedIn for a hospital, plus applied directly on the website. A couple weeks later, sent a follow-up with an email with a personal story of her husband's stay at the hospital. The recruiter responded and requested she apply on their website, meaning you apply on their website, I'm assuming. She knows someone that works there and knows they're hiring multiple new positions. How could you have handled this better? So the way that I would approach this, Aaron, or anybody, when I see an I see an opportunity to fill in an app or on their career portal or Indeed or whatever, I always try to go directly, which is what you did. So kudos there. I don't know that I would have done anything differently. I am not. I would be careful about sharing personal stories such as that, but obviously in your case it seemed to work, so I don't have a problem with that because it worked. I just would be careful about what I share to somebody that I do not know who has not responded to me, especially. So I don't have an issue with any of that. I probably would have done it the same way aside from the personal story. And then the individual that the recruiter said somebody is looking to hire multiple new positions, or the person you know, or I'm getting our pronouns mixed up because Kara was trying to paraphrase this for me, but I would reach in to the recruiter and I would reach in to the hiring official. That's what I would do. I would go as direct as I could, as quickly as I could, and express that you are, and focus your interest on the company, not the role. Meaning I'm open because I'm open to the type of role because I'm highly interested in joining your organization, your hospital, your whatever it might be, your networking group or whatever it is, hospital networking group or whatever it might be. But I like what you did. I don't have any issues, and I would just stay with it. All right, Jacqueline, how you doing? Joel, great to have you. Frank Truesdale, I'm wondering if that's you, Glenn, or Gwen, I should say. Maybe that's hubby's ID. Zolt, how you doing? Welcome, first timer. Can we all give Zolt a first timer big hug? All right, Dagmar. Hi, Andy. Just submitted an application to a big corp, and they have 2 other openings where my linked matches even better. Should I wait to see what happens? You don't have to. You don't have to. If you submitted your app, so this is a little tricky. So let's back up for a second. I'm always a fan of trying to go directly to somebody. Get your resume and your cover letter into somebody's inbox. However, if you're in a situation like Dagmar is, where you've already submitted your application, if you've submitted your application and you've located other jobs that look better or are more aligned, it's possible the applicant tracking system bongs you out of the one and doesn't let you through, and that it lets you through the others because you have a better match. So I don't think that you need to wait to apply to multiple positions. And recruiters are used to that. Recruiters are used to candidates applying to multiple positions. And if they're letting the tool do the work and they're not really thoughtfully looking through the resumes, then I think you got a better chance actually going in and not waiting for the ones that you think you have a better match for. So I would do it. I really would. It's not going to hurt you, for sure. And if anything, it might help you. Okay, Jacqueline, how to organize my thoughts for behavioral scenarios, contain nerves, run through critiquing tone and style on phone interviews. So Jacqueline, I want to toss at you some free resources. So first thing is we have a webinar, free webinar called 3 Keys to Ace Any Job Interview. I would highly recommend that. That will help you regardless of the type of question you're being asked, whether it's behavioral or situational or anything. The second thing is the interview intervention book, although we are like depleted almost down to 0, is still free. You can go out to order that book, and it's shipped anywhere in the world for $7. But as soon as you click the button, and then you go into the shipping queue, the interview intervention ebook and audiobook is available to you. And in the audiobook, or in the ebook, audiobook, or hardbound book, chapter 6 is my silver bullet interview chapter, and in that chapter are the 14 most effective interview questions that you can be asked but also 43 variations of those same questions. Why the employer asks them, what the employer is looking for, and the very best responses. A number of them are behavioral in nature, and some of them are situational, and some of them are about your particular situation. So I would highly recommend that. And then the other thing is, I don't know that a lot of you know this, but I have an interview on my YouTube channel about job interview confidence. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you just in the little search bar put confidence, that video should pop up, and I would watch that. I would highly recommend. It's not a very long video. It's maybe 8 minutes, 10 minutes or something. It's a short one. So check that out. John, how you doing? Oh man, wait, these European or maybe that's Greek names, I can never know how to pronounce them, but I welcome to you too. Or Bulgarian or one of those types of names. There's Kara. David Bennett, how are you? Jessica, she's a boot camper. How you doing? It's cold in Connecticut. You know, this is like the winter that will never end, and I am not a complainer because the weather is the weather. But this is nuts. I mean, I don't know. Can you see? You can't see that. It's all snow out there. Still freezing. Isis, how are you? Lorenza, one of my favorite names of all time. Yes, boot camper from Europe. Brian, how are you? You're frozen too, huh? All right, Jessica. Wait, so I know, did I see somebody asking me about the index cards? Hang on, here's some. I like the cards because they're easy and simple and they're for you, really, more or less. Just so you guys know this, all right, there's like 8 things open on my screen, and there's the live streams open. There's the streaming software that needs to be set up that allows me to do this. There's the Slack so that Kara can tell me if I'm doing something stupid. And in the Wire, I use Wirecast for the streaming software, and I can put layers over it. And I could go and hit the button, and then it'll flash up like what they call layers on a screen. They call them like lower thirds. I could do all that, but this is easier for me. And I can do it as we're rolling on the fly. So I love it. It's easy. And, I know a lot of people spend a lot of time on their videos and their live streams and all that stuff. But, I just want to make sure I show up every week for you. I give you the good content. And I'm assuming if I have to trade something off, you're okay with me trading out the cosmetics as long as I show up every week. That's what I think. Or that's what I hope. Jason, how are you? From Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. Yeah, Connie. Yeah, that Frank Truesdale. That's Gwen. She's part of the Andy LaCivita groupie fan base. She said she sent me a message. Jessica, I don't know. I just needed to do something quick so I can get my point across. Keith, how are you, man? Full contact coaching. Kathy, how are you, boot camper? Bruce, great to see you. Steve, from Canada. Melody Newbie, how are you? Another boot camper. Hey, Randall. Photios, how are you? That's a new name to me. Christy Gleason, how you doing? Great to see you. Great to have you in the programs. And Jeanette, you too. Love having you. Thanks for chiming in the training portal. Hey, one thing I forgot to mention. We have a boot camper session on Wednesday. It's a live session. So normally I run the boot camp 4 times live, full 4 times a year. And we do that in January, in April, in July, and in October. And then in the off months, I do a boot camper private session, and we have one next Wednesday. Starting this morning through tomorrow night, we're running a 1.5-day special because we had so many new people in our community that had never had an opportunity to get into the boot camp on a special price that I decided to do it for 1 day. So if you are interested, or maybe you've been on the fence, maybe you've been with me for a while, you've been on the fence, hey, you could be like Victor and Frank and all these other guys. You can check out the boot camp, and you get till tomorrow night, and there's a special deal, and you get the boot camp and you get the Career Accelerator program. I forgot to mention that because I wanted to get right into the questions. But for those of you that are on the fence, It's really a lot of fun. And I've included in the special the Career Accelerator program, which is a 5-module program to crush your job once you get it. So if you're interested, you have until tomorrow night. You'll get 1 email from me if you're actually on my email list and you're not in the boot camp already, and I'll send that tomorrow. But you can head over to the page and check it out. Maybe Kara can drop it in the chat. It's a lot of fun, and we get some great results as evident by Victor's story and a lot of these others that these folks are sharing. All right. Hey, Jose Luis from Chi-Town, my friend. How you doing? Photios from Ireland. Nice. Good day to you, Steve. Chris, how are you? Salt Lake City. Dr. Manisha. It's our doctor from New York. Our book. Oh, Mom, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope the eyes are doing well. All right. Damien, how you doing? Hey, I think I responded to you one of these days this past week or so. Jake, Rudge, how are you? A question here. Jake, if I'm applying for a graphic design university placement and they are offering a $15,000 salary, it's kind of like an internship, obviously, I would imagine. Do you think I can negotiate the salary even though I'm a student? So, Jake, and certainly not to be funny, I think everything in life is negotiable, and I would always ask. And if the answer is no, then you can decide, if that's an appropriate amount of money for you based on what they're asking you to do, how many hours that you need to do it, and so on. So, but I will tell you this, if you are a student, to me, the experience is so much more important than the dollars that you're going to make. Don't get me wrong, more money is always better, but the experience is what will pay the longer term dividends for you. So it's a personal decision. 2A, great to see you. Venkata, how you doing? Rafal, how are you? 4 a.m. Yeesh. Although I'm kind of up at 4 a.m. Debbie, Fraser, boot camper, how you doing? Frosty, Florida, I don't think so. Byron, how are you? Arkansas. Kathy, my boot camper, got a question. My contact at a target company has forwarded my resume and a recommendation to the hiring manager. Sweet. Should I follow up with the hiring manager as well as apply for the position? So here's what I would do. Kathy, I would check with your friend and see if your friend has any news. And depending on the strength of the relationship between your contact and the hiring official, I would try that route first. If they don't have a super strong relationship, I would probably, here it depends on whether whether your friend copied you on the initial email to the hiring official, but you could send the hiring official a message directly, and then and I'm going to qualify all this, depending on the strength of the relationship with your contact, you could copy your contact on the email or not, and just say, hey, I'm following up. I would do that first. I would not apply online for the position. So I would try that step. I'd probably wait a week to see if the hiring official gets back to you. If the hiring official does not get back to you, I would then go and try to target the HR person. So, what would be really nice is if there was an HR or recruitment resource involved in this introduction process, which theoretically should happen, because somebody in the organization is probably responsible for quarterbacking the process of new recruits. So I would check that out, and then I would just try to communicate. I would try to communicate directly with somebody. So I would try to communicate with the hiring official. I would try to communicate with an HR person or a recruiter, if I could. That's what I would do. Shaman, how are you? Akib, how you doing? It's great. Akib, it's because of your videos. I got a good job. I love to hear that, my friend. Big, huge congratulations to you. I'm thrilled, and I love to hear that. And, you know, all of you that are out there, whether you're here with me live or you're watching this on a recording, don't minimize how much joy it brings me to get an email from you that tells me that. So I read them all. I can't respond to every email that I get, and as best I try. But you all are welcome to do that, to support at milewalk.com. I love it when you share your stories on, or share a post of mine or something on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, or here. I mean, it's great. I love that I had some influence in you getting something great, and that makes me happy. That's why I do what I do. And it also helps me, obviously, if others can find me when they need to. So, please share. Please share. Thank you for that. Gary, how you doing? Still one of the best life coaching. You're welcome. Man, you know what? I'm glad you're up and running, buddy. I know you've had a tough year. Hope you're doing okay. Jasmine, I don't know if you were asking me, but you asked me 4 minutes in, and it lasted, I think, 20 minutes. And now we're in the Q&A session. All right, Connie. Yep, Connie, you saw it all, and I'm guessing you are gone. Don, how are you? Another boot camper. Wait, by the way, so here's what I do, if you haven't noticed this. So I shoot live streams with you, just like this, and I love to teach a little bit, and then we do the Q&A. And then what I do is these are up and running, and you can always go to the live office hours streams and check them out. And there's those. Then what I do is I also try to clip out just the teaching portion. And then somewhere down the road, I will release that on my YouTube channel, where somebody might have 20 minutes to check out, like the teaching portion of today. And then also mixed in with all of that, you'll also see some other full-on recorded videos that I might shoot by myself with no studio audience, so to speak. And then other times you'll see just little vignettes or maybe clip outs of our Q&As or things like that. And I realize not everybody's got an hour to spend, sitting through an entire, live office hour session. But so I try to make it so that, you're getting the kinds of things that you want, and for the durations that you can afford to sit through them. I do a lot of YouTubing in my car. So when I'm watching my coaches or videos that I do, I sit and I watch them, or I go stream them in my car through my iPhone, right, plugged right into the media port. But yeah, there's I try to do it so you guys can get access to anything I have. All right, hope that helps. Colin, never need to apologize if you're late. Victor, there he is. Okay, at 11:08, if people can see that Victor T, that's the Victor I'm talking about. Victor, you're getting a lot of airplay in the Mile Walk Academy in these last few videos that we did. And can we wait, is that I am officially off the market? I'll be working in Washington, D.C. Yes. All right, so that's the Victor. So, and that, for any of you that thought I was making that stuff up, I'm not that creative that I can make up a story like that. But Victor, that is awesome. Thanks to everybody's support. Thanks to the boot camp. And Andy, I have accepted a job offer this week as a CFO. This is a guy at an ops position at a target company that he knows he will enjoy. I love that. And you know what, Victor, hey, thanks, man, for showing up and not making anybody think I was a liar. I would never do that. But I just love to share that story, and I hope everybody wishes him well. And he is a super dude, and it could not have happened to a nicer guy. I'm just thrilled. That's awesome. And Kara, let's make sure can we get the little cutout of his little thing there? Yeah, I always like to share that stuff. All right. God love you. Andy Lou. How do you assess a company from an interview research that the work environment is right for you? For example, an internship. How do you quickly tell if they are willing to help you learn and grow? So, Andy and everybody else, there's a couple of ways to best assess. Most people fall greatly short of being able to accurately assess a situation. So what you might do in an interview, which is what most people do, is they would ask, you know, how are you, how will you help me grow? That's one way of asking a question. And they can say, well, we're going to onboard you and we're going to give you some support on the job and so on and so on. And they can kind of walk through what they think they're going to do. But a better way to approach it is to say, I'm interested in joining an organization where I know there's going to be support so I can learn, and I will work really hard and I'll put in extra time and all that good stuff. And so I'd love to know the support you would provide me. And even more specifically, I'd just love to hear about an example from a previous intern and the type of support you provided him or her. So what you're doing now is you're asking for evidence. Okay? So you know how when I always say that employers are really dumb for asking behavioral interviewing questions? They're really silly, because to ask about your past is not a predictor of your future, because you'll learn, you'll change, you'll do it differently in the future, and the employer should be spending more time in the future to see how you will operate in their environment. For the candidate, it's the exact opposite. So when a candidate is questioning an employer, you are looking in their past for evidence that they will do what they say they will do in the future. So what you do, you want to ask both sides. So, what do you anticipate, and can you show me through illustration what you actually did? That's what you always want. You always want both sides, but you need to make sure that you are asking them about a specific scenario that occurred in their past as a result of what they are telling you they will do in the future. So what will you do, and give me evidence that you've done that? Or give me evidence that you've learned from your mistakes and you will not repeat those and you will change. Either is okay. That's the way to go. Hope that helped. And Andy, get the interview intervention book. That will really help you. Robert Tatum, how you doing? Marilyn, great to see you. And Victor, yeah, man. I mean, that's just awesome. I'm hoping Kara already snapped a shot of that. Mads. Tim Branch, hey, buddy. Yeah, see, man, you need to connect up with Victor, man. Victor, I'm telling you, Victor, we're gonna have you come and be a guest teacher on the boot camp next time. Radu from Romania, how you doing? Wait, this isn't a question, but this is really important. And we get this a lot from the boot campers, and I actually love this. I love this. So Mads is saying it's because of Andy's questions for the potential employer that I already know I don't want the job offer. Job interview success is not you accepting a job, because sometimes people accept a job that they shouldn't have accepted. And just like hiring success for an employer isn't I hired somebody to fill the position. Most hiring total failures are because the employer hired somebody they should not have hired. It's the same thing for you. Now, and don't get me wrong, I totally respect your personal situation. I know you might need to put food on the table and all that good stuff. And obviously I wish you all well, and I want you to get a job. But what I'm trying to teach you through my videos and my live streams and the sessions and all that good stuff is how to maximize everything that you do. And I genuinely appreciate that not all my tactics, you don't need to apply all my tactics all the time, and depending on who you are and what your situation is. But they're there for you to learn and adapt to your situation. So I'm glad to hear that Mads, because it's hard to say no. It's hard to say no sometimes, especially if you're in a tough situation. Oh, Rodrigo, great to see you from Rio de Janeiro. Love it. Oh, Rory's back, the zombie review. Hey, buddy, good to see you. Marilyn, I can't wait for you to get the book. And just so everybody knows, so I just ordered 2,000 more copies of the book. And we are whittling down our inventory almost down to zero. And I put the order in a few weeks ago, and it takes about 4 weeks. But the books are still shipping as near as I can tell, but we're getting really low. So if you do order the book, you will get a shipment email as soon as the book ships, which is usually like a few days. So what happens is when you order the book, just so you know what happens, when you go and you fill it in, you pay your $7, you immediately get access to the ebook and the audiobook. Then what happens is Kara actually sweeps the system each day, and she gets the names, and then she gets them over to the shipment company, and then the shipment company gets them into their system, gets the labels and the packing and all that good stuff later, and then a day or so later, then the book gets shipped out. And it usually can get it within like a week or so. If you're in the US, you're in England, it's like, week and a half, 2 weeks. Canada's pretty soon. When you start moving into South America, Africa, India, the Asian countries, I mean, that takes a little longer. India, those kind of places. But yeah, we're still going strong. We're still going strong. But that inventory, man, I freaked out when I saw that I wasn't paying attention to how quickly you guys were draining those on me. B. Sutton, it's there for you always. Oh, one other thing, and we're gonna go a few more minutes here. If I don't get to your question in the live stream, just take it and move it into the comment section in this video. And then when I do, like later today or tomorrow or over the weekend, then I go in and I answer them all. So I appreciate you being here. And so I want to try to get, to your question as soon as I can. All right. Stacy, how are you? Jasmine, wonderful. Emma's a dear. How you doing? Erica Wolfel. Coleman. I was offered a position at very low pay. I asked why, and they said I had no years of experience, despite having been every eager to hire me before. I'm not having been even more eager, maybe. I also made the mistake of telling them what I made. The HR person was like, "Oh, I thought you made more than that, a lot more. What should I do?" So, first thing for everybody is, on the one hand, and by the way, here again, advanced tactics, I realize sometimes it's after the fact. When you get into a job interview, you don't want to disclose, if possible, what it is you expect in the way of salary, because you don't know what they are willing to pay. Let's be really clear. For all those people that jumped on my one video who completely, many of them missed the point. When you get into a job interviewing process, you might know, let me say, you think you know what you're worth. You might think you know what the job pays, and you might think you know what the market pays for your job. And all of that might be true. But you have absolutely no clue what that company will ultimately pay you. And I mean ultimately pay you, because that's different than what they tell you the job pays if they tell you that up front. The job pays between $10 and $12 an hour. That isn't necessarily what they will ultimately pay you. So you just have to recognize that. The assumptions that you make early on will kill you. The second thing you don't want to do, if at all possible, is you don't want to tell them what you earn. Now, a couple things. If you watch one of my earlier videos on negotiating your salary after a job offer, I mentioned about sharing, what your current compensation is. I shot that video a number of years ago. We have new laws now where they are not allowed, many states and cities are not even allowed to ask you that. In a lot of countries, they don't ask you that. And so I would today suggest that you don't share any of that if possible. When it comes to the offer process, I want you to work your way through, crush it, sell yourself, get down to the end, and then have them make you a fair offer without telling them anything. Just, what do you think I'm worth based on how I performed? Now, they gave you an offer at very low pay. You have a couple choices. You could dismiss it and say, I'm out of here. You could, but the first thing I want you to do, step 0, is I want you to reflect and just learn from this process. Is there anything that you could have done to sell yourself more? So even though you didn't have the experience or whatever it might be, for any of you, take ownership that that employer is basing its offer on how well it thinks you will contribute value in the future based on how you performed in the interview process. Now, regardless of that, you now have a decision. You can dig your heels in. You can counteroffer, which is what I would do. I would ask them for what you want, and I would push back on them. If they don't meet it, then you decide again, do I want to accept this or not? Now, so that's what I would do. So, I mean, it's kind of what's done is done, but I can't tell you what to, if you should accept it or not, but I would go through those tactics as a matter of process and try to eke out more money from them. But that's what I would do. But you want to be very, very careful when you start getting into conversations like this, because it most of the time, folks, is not going to work to your advantage to give them an expected salary, to tell them what you're currently earning, or any of that stuff. It usually will not. All right, Natalie, hey. M. DeSilvio. Yes, all that is true. And yes, you can ask. So, folks, that session we just went through today, the first 20 minutes, now you have that. That's a wrapper that you put on at the end, but figure out where you're going to ask those questions of the employer, because that's data you need in order to ask yourself those questions at the end. So, you're not going to just shoot those all out in one interview session with the HR person or the recruiter. You're going to pick that stuff up along the way as you talk to various people throughout the organization. All right. Connie, you're welcome. I'm assuming you're off and running. Let me see if I can get a couple extra questions here before I got to run. Keith, excellent topic. Should you ask those questions after the offer or starting when you begin to research? I didn't even see that question. Yes. Yes, ask them throughout. Pick the questions that are appropriate for the people that you're interviewing with. Talking to senior people or your boss, ask them the corporate stuff, the product stuff. You can ask them if that's an area that they're going to be investing in. Am I coming? And then you can assess what are the areas and the divisions of the company and where do we see ourselves going? What are the product lines that we're going to invest money in? And all that stuff should be asked along the way. You don't want to scramble at the end to ask all those questions, but I want you to make sure that you've got that little checklist to save yourself from making a bad choice. Jason, I had a screening interview last week. They are a leader in the marketing service industry, but want to expand into a new area, which I would help with. Okay. Okay. They mentioned building a new product. The EVP connected with me on LinkedIn. Would it be a good idea to send him a presentation on an idea for a solution that helps this new area? Jason, no, do not do that. Emphatically don't. I have no issue with you getting together with him, having a phone call with him, or an in-person discussion about what your idea is, and I would bring your presentation with you, and I would not send anybody anything, especially if you have not formally gotten into the process. I would not do that. So I would be careful. They could take your insight, not hire you. This is different than, hey, put a 30, 60, 90-day plan together. I want to see what you're going to do. It sounds to me, if I read this correctly, is that you have any. I know you had a screening interview, but I would not do anything until I actually got together with them, so that I would not be emailing things that I could not explicitly go through live. So I hope that helps. I just let it play out and bring it with you and then discuss. Tom, great to see you. Stacy C. All right, let me try to get this one in here. Have an on-site interview tomorrow and have to do a PowerPoint on a case study of blending two cultures to make a unified team. Any words of wisdom? I'm not sure what to tell you to do, because I'm not sure what the cultures are that they want you to blend, but I'm not even sure that I think that that's a good case study, because if you are blending two cultures, what likely is happening is a company acquired another company, and there's going to become a dominant culture. And that culture, this isn't about blending the culture so much as it is about recognizing which people fit the culture that you're going to go with. And so the way that I would blend two cultures, this is me. So if I'm one of the people that is responsible for the M&A or the mergers and acquisition, or the merger or the acquisition or whatever it is that took place, my first reaction is I would be interviewing the people in the company that is the subordinate company to see if those individuals are the right cultural fit for the culture that we are going to promote going forward. Then I would have to look at the skill sets, the holes, and so forth, and then I would do one of a couple things. I would assess whether they can fit the culture, but remember, culture itself is a DNA thing. It's not something that you alter your internal personality so that you can coincide with the right culture. If you are considered a flexible person and you think, well, I can go with the flow, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because you are in a constant state of adjustment every single day. And over time, that wears on you. As a matter of fact, if you're really interested in all this, grab the Hiring Prophecies. It's my Gold Award winning hiring book. I go through all of this in there. But my approach to that question would be, and I mean this, and I'm just going to say this straight out, to blend two cultures is not blending two cultures. It's assessing the people to see which people fit the culture that I want to create. That's how I would do that. All right. The Mastercraft is coming. It is awesome. You guys will love it. And by the way, it starts Tuesday, but you could take it you can opt in anytime you want. I mean, you know, on and on and on. All right. Let me see if I can get Natalie in here. Why do companies continue to repost the same job after going through 2 third interviews? This happened to me multiple times, and I feel like my master's and work experience is getting in the way. Natalie, that is not the spot I would go. Companies can repost jobs for any one of a number of reasons. It might be a hard to fill position and they want it up perpetually to constantly interview people and to be in a constant state of recruitment. And technically speaking, the best organizations in the world never stop recruiting. They never take their postings down, ever. So the height at the frequency at which they review them, or the priority in which they focus on them might fluctuate, but a good company should always be looking for great salespeople. A good company should always be looking for good accountants. They should always be looking for good product developers. They should always be looking for good technologists, because you can always, and the other thing is you can always be trading out. The larger the team, if there are 10 people on a team, the bottom 2 or 3 can go and they can be traded out for higher or more talented people. So that's not a question I can answer specifically why the company you're looking at or the companies you're looking at do that. Okay, I'm going to answer one other question, and then I got to hit it. And this one was from Jeanette. She wants to know how the masterclass works with the boot camp curriculum. Jeanette and all of my boot campers and everybody that's in the Mile Walk Academy, this master your craft. This is about elevating your performance in your career as it relates to your ability to be the best at whatever it is that you do. The Job Search Boot Camp is about job searching. The Career Accelerator Program is about accelerating in your career, looking at the first 90 days, how to position yourself for promotion, how to grow your organizational tactics, how to make sure you're collecting the data throughout your career to understand what it is you're doing. Those are separate curriculums. The Master Your Craft free program talks about what are the techniques that you can use to become the best at what you do. This is more in line with my leadership curriculum, which is going to be starting on March 21st. I'm actually going to be sending a little announcement to my community, meaning my email community, on Sunday. I've got a short email with a very short 3 or 4 minute video to explain kind of what's coming. And then Tuesday, we're going to start this challenge. And then that kind of leads into my monthly subscription, which is a very modest monthly subscription, but it is leadership mentoring every month live. And you'll get the recordings and you'll get workbooks and all kinds of goodies. And one other thing, for those of you that are interested in leadership stuff, the first session of my leadership program is going to be on How do you grow your confidence as a leader, and how do you operate in a constant state of growth? Like every single day, I am, for 60% of the day, I am doing things that make me uncomfortable. And every single day it becomes easier. So how do you actually train your mind, train your spirit, do these things, challenge yourself, get conditioned, constantly be growing, and then how do you pass that on to somebody as a leader and all that? So we're going to go through all that in the first session, and there's a challenge for that first session, but that's a paid program. It's modest. If you are a boot camper, you are going to get a one-time, lifetime shot at this, a subscription rate that is pretty damn good, if I don't say so myself, and very worth it. And if you are not a boot camper and you want to get into this program, you are going to get a one-time shot at locking in a low price subscription. No, low is a relative thing. The value that you're going to get is going to be tremendous. The amount of money that this is going to cost you each month is going to be probably a lot lower than you think. And it's really, really going to be great. And it is very programmatized, and we'll have, private sessions. And it's a phenomenal program. And this will lead into seminars and other things that we will have that you will be gifted by being in the programs. So it's really special. I'm super stoked, and I hope you guys can join me next Thursday. So what's coming? Next Thursday, I'm here, same time, same channel. We're going through a resume checklist process that you should go through before you ever submit your resume. It's flipping awesome. And I'm going to give you a giveaway like this guy for resumes, for you to make sure that you are checking off the box. This is not a silly thing like, proofread it and make sure you don't have any typos. No, that's crap. You can get that you can Google that and get that on any little blog post. This is going to be content related. Does your resume do this? If I was reading it, it will be a different way of thinking about it. And then that's Thursday. And then Monday, the following Monday, the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th, I'm here 3 days in a row. And that will all be different subject matter, more leadership stuff. The first one is how to figure out what your gift is, and so on. And then we're going to lead right in. And then on Thursday that week, we're actually, I think, at 5 o'clock Eastern, I think, is the first session of the monthly leadership program. It's really going to be cool. And it doesn't matter if you don't want to jump into the subscription, that's okay. I'm still going to be offering some other goodies that you can take advantage of and get comfortable with it. But I'd love to have you. But if you're a boot camper, you're going to be getting a special email because you're going to get a special rate. And then that rate is good for life. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I hope that serves you. I hope you guys enjoyed this. The recording will be up and running here in about an hour or so. That's just, but you will be able to access this in a few minutes when I click off. You'll be able to, if I didn't get to your question, just slide it over and put it in the comments section, and then I'll answer it later today or tomorrow or over the weekend. But I'll get to you. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for all my boot campers for showing up. Victor, congratulations again. I'll get back to you on that other thing. And then I'll see everybody. Well, I'll see some of you Sunday. I'll see some of you Tuesday. And I'll see hopefully a bunch of you on Thursday for that resume thing. Going to be great. Take care. See you soon.